We are broadcasting live. I am side by side with you at EastSide FM and coming to you from Paddington Town Hall in a particularly sparkly, sunny Sydney day. I am joined in the studio, actually via the wonders of Zoom technology, by Alexander Zusin. He is the pioneer of the work The Love Method, and on today's show we are talking about love, self-love, loving somebody else. And before we heard our two tracks, we settled on, it wasn't necessarily a sour note, Alex. What was it? It just made me sad, and I thought we have to play music.
No, you know, we went a little too brainiac and left the emotional part out of it. And
There
I
you
think
go.
the emotional part is what we wanted to touch.
Absolutely, the operative word there being touch. So let's talk about how can love, particularly through the work that you do, both with couples and with singles, Alex, how can love be generated in your life?
Yes. So first, we need to understand why love doesn't exist, because love is like energy and like water. If nothing blocks it, it flows naturally.
I love
The
that.
moment there are certain blocks, then we see the symptoms, which is bad mood, fights with your partner, frustration in the dating scene, because something
Fights with yourself. Fights with yourself.
fights with yourself, a whole variety. Everything bad, something's blocking the flow of love.
I feel you now, Alex.
Awesome.
Okay, let's do it.
So ask me that question again.
Okay,
please.
So how can love be generated in my life, in your life, in our lives? How can we generate love in our lives?
Okay. It's a little different for men and women, and I wish for all of us to kind of reserve all judgments and to be able to hear what I have to say, because we are different. Woman is,
and I really love that you took a deep breath before that. It was like, am I going to be pilloried right now? No, you're not, because Love Soul is a safe space, Alex. So please let me hear you.
yeah. I believe that women are born perfect.
Oh, I like you
Meaning
already.
there is absolutely nothing that needs to be corrected, fixed. They don't need to be, they're naturally evolving little women. I have a 6.5-year-old. She's a little woman. She already has the care in her. She already has the affection, the love, she's perfect.
Maternal instinct.
Yes, everything is already there. My little one, my older one, who's about to be 8 years old and a boy, he's not a man. So the question is, what is a man and a woman? And I'm not talking about the whole construct that is happening socially, but specifically to focus on what is a man and what is a woman. If a woman is perfect, little girl is perfect, she's already a little woman. For a boy to become a man, there's a series of steps of overcoming himself that gradually grow him to become a man, confident in himself, feeling that he's able to tackle challenges in his life, even if he's not certain.
I love this because I've got my teenager right here, and I think this is particularly pertinent, and he's suddenly way more interested in listening to this conversation than he was about 10 minutes ago. And so am I, frankly. So let's talk about boy becoming a man.
So the boy becoming a man is exactly that. Unfortunately, we live in a world where everything kind of babies us and makes sure that we're safe and secure. And that kind of stunts the growth of a lot of men. Give me a couple of minutes. So sorry, my 8-year-olds woke up. Anyway,
It's perfect. Perfect timing.
Yes. So love happens when a woman embraces her perfection, and not in a very egoistic way. She doesn't have to be full of herself. She just needs to understand that whatever doesn't come at her the right way, positively, the way she feels good about herself, does not deserve to be in her life.
Wow.
And
Wow.
without any shame or guilt or any second thought, she's willing to just distance herself from it.
And that's
Because
what.
she understand
Sorry,
she
Alex.
understands that her environment influences her to the core. So if her environment somehow plants seeds of self-doubt, of self-doubt, of uh, self-esteem issues, anything at all, it will influence who she is and how she feels about herself. So to guard and be able to guard confidently and without unapologetically that space around her of who her friends, family,
Lovers.
her partner, lovers, exactly how she speaks to herself, guarding that space is crucial. And surrounding herself with the type of environment that will only feed her, because she's already perfect. There's nothing else she needs to add.
Okay,
The nourishment,
so
everything is already there. Go ahead.
so while I'm sorry for interrupting you again, but like my brain is firing off like 4,500 different questions right now, and they are all predicated by, I love the fact that you've called me perfect. As the mother of two sons, what you have said is obviously a tad controversial, because we are saying that because, or you are saying that because my sons are not yet men, my boys are not yet men, that they are in some way imperfect.
Boys aren't perfect. What makes us perfect? Why do we need to be perfect?
Well, you've just said that women are, and girls, women are born perfect.
Yeah.
So we are born perfect because we are already, we have come to this earth with all the ingredients that we need for perfection.
So that's a good question that
Okay.
opens it up to something awesome. Okay. So perfection is a state of being. So when a woman is perfect, that means she is within that space of positivity and love. For a man to be in the space of positivity and love, he has to be self-reliant, confident of himself and his abilities to overcome any and all challenges that come his way. How can a boy get that? If not through overcoming challenges and obstacles and gaining the experience and confidence necessary to feel confident in himself inside, not for anybody else to judge him as perfect or not perfect, but for him inside to feel confident and secure enough in who he is, so that he is able to be of value both to himself, to his partner, whether present or future, and to society.
So what do you say to the women listening to this show right now who don't feel that sense of confidence and that sense of perfection? Because ultimately, whether or not we're a man or a woman, we are still human. And because we are human and we are mortal, even though we are, famously, we are spiritual beings having a mortal experience, we still come to this planet and to this life with frailties, with insecurities, with imperfections. So what do you say to those women?
Perfect. Choose who you surround yourself with.
Can't you say the same thing to boys?
Yeah, absolutely. Choose who you surround yourself with. Specifically, it needs to be focused on the directions are a little slightly different, although essentially the same. For women, they need to surround with themselves with those who uplift them.
Yes. Love
For
that.
no reason.
For
For
no
absolutely
reason.
no reason.
Love that.
For absolutely no reason.
And then that is,
You do
yes.
not owe anybody anything for you to consider yourself worthy. This is a very crucial point.
And that's across both genders now.
No.
Wow.
Boys need
Okay.
men need older role models who are able to properly guide them and um, develop them. Which is why often we gravitate towards sports, because there's usually a coach who's an older gentleman, and he's
Right.
imparting wisdom on us, and kind of he sees the path that we need to take.
Right.
So as boys, our environment, it's not our friends necessarily, although again, if they're older and wiser and some of them are on the same level as us, that's fine. But we need to find ourselves mentors who will be able to invest in us and develop us to become the man that we want to be.
Alexander Zusin. This is amazing. I could talk about this for a very long time. You've introduced concepts that not only challenge my way of thinking, but certainly inspire new ways of thinking, because I really want to take on board that I am perfect as a woman. I love what you say, that love, and I think you touched on this earlier on, that love can't be forced, and if it is forced, then there's obviously something toxic at play potentially. Something that isn't quite in alignment with who you really are. It's interesting, the idea that women don't have to work hard for anything, but boys do. That fascinates me, because I think from a female point of view, I still want to have an elder or elders in my life that I can learn from, so I can continue to evolve as a smart, dynamic, passionate woman.
For you,
yes,
as a woman,
yes,
what you want is within your
Yes.
right to have. So if you want that type of environment and you feel like you can benefit from it, you owe it to yourself to explore that.
But doesn't my son, and don't my sons, aren't they afforded the same thing?
Yeah, if he feels, again, the desire awakens. So if he feels that he needs a certain mentor, a certain type of surrounding, certain environment, yes. The challenge comes is that women are able to operate this reality purely from the sense of feeling, meaning if I feel good or bad. And they know that if I feel good, it is good, and if I feel bad, it is bad. And then learn from their experiences. 1 second.
You're talking
for
to
boys,
your son.
because
Yeah, go ahead.
for boys, for men, for any of us really, because we cannot rely on our feelings, because they stem from a limited perception. They stem from a limited perception, and they give us a limited scope of feeling good or bad towards something. I can feel great about playing computer games 12 hours a day. It doesn't mean that it's good for me.
I love that, and that's beautiful. And my teenager has got his headphones on, and he's just grimacing. Thank you for that. That was worth the price of admission alone, Alexander Zusin.
So, if I would to say anything to any of the guys out there who want to gain confidence and learn how to achieve certain goals, find yourself a more experienced, an older mentor who's able to, whether it's in business, whether it's somebody who's online and doesn't directly work with you, whether it's a coach, whether it's a trainer for the gym, but somebody who's going to be able to expedite your growth and instill self-confidence and proper development for you.
And to the women, and actually both men and women who are listening to Love Soul this afternoon, I want to, just based on what Alex and I have just been talking about, really watch who you're giving your heart to, I think. Definitely, because if it, I think what you were saying before, Alex, is if it doesn't feel right, chances are it ain't right. So I am joined live in the studio by the wonders, the magic of Zoom technology. Alexander Zusin, you are here all the way from Israel. How is Israel these days?
Very hot.
Very hot, really.
Very hot.
Goodness
Yes.
gracious. And you told me before that it's actually, what were the words you used? It's the most insane, sane place in the world. Care to elaborate?
A small country,
Yes.
and there is all the feelings of a family
Hmm.
and everything that comes with it, the good and the bad.
But at the end of the day, love lives in Israel.
Yes.
I love that most of all. Let's get back to our love conversation because we're almost out of time with you, Alex, and we've got a half an hour left of the show and we have more music we need to play. I want to summarize our conversation with just one more question for you. When we talk about falling in love, now we were talking in the break about it's a very different experience for men and for women, but I want to focus on the words fall in love. Now, it's the popular phraseology. Do you think it's accurate?
Falling in love.
Songs have been written about
big,
it, poetry, everything.
sure. I have mixed feelings about it.
Do tell.
I have mixed feelings about it because the emotion of falling in love usually describes the early stages of a relationship, and it could be 2 weeks, it could be 6 months, it can be 2 years, where you're just on a high.
Limerence,
Everything
it's
is
called. Limerence.
pink, limerence. Everything looks great, and so you feel just this rush of endorphins. You're in love. This is the only person you want to be with, and then you get married and you begin to discover different things that you haven't noticed about that person before, things that
Yes.
drive you absolutely bonkers.
Sure.
Recording in progress.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was a bit rude. I pressed a button. I
That's
shouldn't have done
okay.
that. Never mind. As you all
That's
know,
all
we
right.
now, yes, go ahead.
And so are you in love then? So what is love? Is it something that just comes naturally to me in those first months or first years of our relationship? Or is it something that I have to learn how to build and sustain and grow over time?
So I think what you're referring to in those first few intoxicating months, I guess you can call it, it's what's popularly referred to as limerence. Have you heard of that expression?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder then whether it actually is love. And let's wrap up our conversation because we could be doing this for hours. I can just tell. I'd ask you like 1,000 questions and you'd come back to me with 4,000 statements. Let me put this to you, lovely Alexander Zusin. When I say the words love soul, what do you think of?
When you say the words love souls,
Love soul.
love soul. Love and soul are the same thing. I believe that soul in its purity is love. So it's the same thing.
I love that.
If we're talking about love you want me to continue? I don't know.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead. Yes.
Because I really want to leave the listeners with something else.
Yes,
if you're
please.
talking about love in the construct of being with somebody for the rest of your life and learning how to develop and grow that love instead of jumping from one relationship to the other and constantly being on the roller coaster,
Right.
so to speak.
Right.
Then learning who you are as a person, about your own nature, your own needs, both personally and in a relationship, learning about the other person, his needs, and how he or she feels the most comfortable in this life. Basically, it requires you to be almost a psychologist. And this is something that you can develop. In my program, I have 5 exercises that I have my couples take. They do it one at a time. And those 5 exercises help you build a full um, foundation that will follow you for the rest of your life. And you'll find that you'll have to retake it sometimes, but yeah.
Is that something that you can summarize for us in the next 3 minutes? What are those 5 exercises?
Absolutely. The first exercise.
Okay.
The first exercise, you sit down and you express to your partner who you are. You do it in third person, so you don't have to get emotional about some of the things you might want to share.
Interesting.
Meaning, Alex likes ice cream. Alex, when he was a little boy, had a great experience that when his father would pick him up from kindergarten, he would always buy him ice cream or a milkshake on the way.
Nice.
So this is a memory. Instantly, we build intimacy.
Right.
And we can do it as often as we want. The second step is incorporating each other's desires. What that means is we sit in front of each other at a table or on a couch, and my partner expresses to me some of the deepest desires of what she or he would like. And my job is to pay as close attention to how they express it, the tonalities, the body language, and then recreate it by expressing back to them what they've just said using the same tonality and the same body language. And what that does is it allows me to physically feel what my partner is feeling at that moment. The third exercise is building the perfect vision together. What you do when you build the perfect vision together, and that not just where we'd like to live or what we'd like to drive, but it's the little things. How do we see the connection between us? How often do we communicate throughout the day? How many times? How does our week look like? How does our month look like? How does our year look like? How many vacations we take together? All of these little things. And clearly, as you do it, it's like a muscle. You become more skilled at it. So in the vision exercise, you build a vision of your perfect relationship that you begin to exercise and implement in the present. The fourth exercise.
Yes.
You still got time?
Oh, yeah. I'm listening. I'm taking notes.
Good.
Mental notes.
The fourth exercise is learning how to have a productive argument. Arguments are a way of a relationship. You cannot escape them. There is a way to address it that is productive. And the final one, each of the partners writes down his flaws on a piece of paper.
Okay, this could go on for a long time.
And the other person needs to look at the flaws and express to you why they're actually strengths.
Goodness me. So you're really flipping the script there, Alexander.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you do it often enough, let's say if you do it twice a year or you do it once a year, you know that you are building this foundation for your relationship every single time.
For argument's sake, let's you and I just do that very last step together, because I'd like to see that in practice.
Cool.
Now, obviously,
sure.
we've only just met, so I don't know what your flaws are, and similarly, you don't know mine. But let's just pretend. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 of my flaws, and then you give me 3 of yours. Now, they could be fabricated, or they could be just for the purposes of this exercise. You ready?
Go for it.
Okay. So, first flaw, I procrastinate. Number 2, I gosh, I'm struggling to find flaws in myself. Goodness gracious. No. Number two, I can be quite reactive and a little
bit. Reactive in what sense? What does it mean, reactive?
I can be I'm not even going to say hot-headed, because that's not actually true. I'm going to say that I can dramatic. So I procrastinate. I can be dramatic. And number 3, head in the clouds. Which I don't really think.
Dreamer.
I don't really think that that's a flaw, because that's I definitely feel that is one of my strengths. So I'm going to say, actually, forget that, cross that one out. Number 3, stubborn.
Stubborn.
There you go.
Perfect. All right. Ready?
Yes.
So procrastinate.
Yes.
The reason you procrastinate is because you have developed this is an amazing trait to have, because it allows you to listen to it. Hold on.
I think you're wonderful, Alex. Yeah, carry on.
So what procrastination allows you to do is to make sure that what you're doing is something that you are absolutely convinced you have to do or want to do.
Okay.
So you don't waste any extra energy. You know that everything you're doing is exactly what you should be doing, because usually procrastination is a lack of importance to do something.
Right. What if it's because you're just frightened?
Then this is a different. It's not a trait. It's a coping mechanism.
Okay. Keep on going. I'm listening.
Yes. Being dramatic. So being dramatic, I'm assuming, is your ability to express your emotions.
Yes, because I'm an ethnic Greek woman. Yes.
Which is an amazing thing, because I think the ability to express your emotions as they are without
censorship,
the fear of trying to offend somebody or trying to, put yourself in a box for the sake of somebody else. I think that type of authenticity is actually what keeps you healthy.
Okay.
Because the moment you begin, especially as a woman, but men as well, the moment you begin to bottle your emotions, then, you have a whole series of illnesses that are waiting for you. And the third one you said is stubbornness. Stubbornness, my God, it is an amazing trait, because what it allows you to do is it allows you to stick to the goals that you set for yourself with unwavering confidence and just pursue them till they're done.
Yes. I love that. Okay, so what you've done, and I'm going to address your flaws, because you're not off the hook. So what this exercise does is so it's obviously an intimacy building exercise, because you're empowering the other person who is pointing out flaws within themselves or perceived flaws, and flipping the script and turning them around and turning obviously negatives into the positives. And is the result that you're brought closer together?
Closer together. You will find that this exercise is actually a lot easier when you're doing it with people who you're not remotely, like you and I, we're not best friends, we're not close, we're not together. The moment you do it with your partner, you find yourself emotionally struggling to justify some of these things, because it's like, you're definitely dramatic, but then you have to kind of pause, and then you have to do a whole internal process that will make you, instead of judging that trait, come out with a positive aspect of the trait.
Spin.
So you're justifying your partner and showing to your partner how that trait can be used positively as well.
Okay, I want to try it on you now. So you tell me 3. Yeah.
So
let's see if I can do it.
The first one is that I sometimes also procrastinate, but sometimes I can call it lazy.
Oh, okay. Yes, good.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other one is I'm not very social. I am much more comfortable just being closed in my room.
As opposed to appearing on radio shows. Yeah.
Yeah, listen.
Okay.
And let's see, what is the third one? The third one is I like to eat a lot.
Okay, they're beautiful ones. All right. So, lazy. There's a book there's a book that's out called The Art of Being Lazy. And I think there's a danger in this very fast-paced world of just always doing. You know, we're doing, and we've got to meet this goal and see that person and have that conversation and achieve objectives that just run us ragged. And so I think you're a human being, not a human doing. And I think the fact that you're lazy, we've kind of villainized, if there's such a word, being lazy. But really what you're doing, Alexander Zusin, is that you're just being still, and you know how to be still, and you're conserving energy, you're going internally, deciding what you're going to do next in a way that's not going to rush you. So I think being lazy is also an act of self-love.
Love it.
I got it.
You're
okay.
a pro.
All right. Antisocial. Antisocial means to me that you're more selective about who you choose to share your energy with.
That is so good.
And the last one, you like to eat. Well, listen, as long as you're eating beautiful food, and I know that the food that you have there in Israel, it's very similar to the Mediterranean way of eating. So I'm going to say food is for pleasure. Don't deny yourself. And so if we're going to translate the fact that you like to eat into again, giving yourself love. I heard that. That's beautiful. Did you give him a look? You gave your son a look. So you are definitely very in tune with what gives you pleasure, both emotionally and physically.
Awesome.
I like that exercise. That's really good. I think you can actually expand that into all the relationships in your life, and they don't have to be the romantic ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the point of it is to bring yourself closer to the other person.
So what happens in a relationship, especially the longer we are together, is that we begin to there is what I call a blueprint that kind of I naturally develop. My subconscious develops a blueprint of survival, basically how to get the most pleasure in the least amount of effort. And that's just our animalistic blueprint.
Sure.
So what happens when I get together with another person with his own or her own unique blueprint, they begin to clash because they're not the same. So that clashing, what it does is it either gives us more friction that we begin to fight and just blinds over our eyes and we just see the things that are negative and then that just ruins relationships. Or we use these types of exercises to be more open to each other and then create the type of connection that we can both exist in.
And that makes it a more conducive environment for love.
Absolutely. You remove the blocks.
And on that loving note, Alexander Zusin, it's been a pleasure having you on Love Soul.
Pleasure was all mine. Hey, if you want me to come back,
we'll come up with a series of questions. We'll reach out to our love soulmates far and wide, and I'll even talk to my immediate friends and say, listen, there's this dude. We're going to talk about love with him. Yeah, so we might bring you back, Alex. I'll be in touch.
Let me know. You got it.
Absolutely. It's been quite an eye-opening and enlightening conversation with our lovely guest, Alexander Zusin. We're going to play some more music now, my love soulmates, and we'll be back